This is VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. Please stand by for this morning's WIA broadcast at 9 a.m. on 1825 kHz in the 160 metre amateur radio band. This is VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. Please stand by for this morning's WIA broadcast at 9 a.m. on 1825 kHz in the 160 metre amateur radio band.
This national news edition originates from VK1WIA and is rebroadcast throughout Australia and around the world under a common licence published on the WIA website. This WIA national news service is copyright to the Wireless Institute of Australia and rebroadcast is authorised only under the provisions of that common licence. WIA Director and Company Secretary Peter Cleave, VK8ZZ.
From Australia, this is the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
NWIA National News this week, direct from the Crystal Ballroom, higher top WIA headquarters. Angelo, VK2NWT, WIA Affiliated Clubs Coordinator and ARIS. WIA Director Giles, VK5GK, delivers the Director's Update. But wait, there's more, much, much more in this edition of news from the Wireless Institute of Australia, and it is for week commencing Sunday, April 19, 2026. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB.
We are VK1WIA.
This is Giles, VK5 Golf Kilo, delivering the Director's Update. Everything's running smoothly, which in our world is usually a sign to keep a close eye on it. Membership is holding and operations are running well. Internally, priority work continues on member services and digital improvements, with steady progress being made. We continue to see solid engagement from clubs and volunteers, which remains critical to everything we do. At a broader level, activity across the Spectrum environment continues to evolve, and we remain actively engaged to ensure amateur interests are represented as these changes develop. As always, continued member involvement, particularly through clubs and training, remains critical to the future of the hobby. We encourage members to get involved where they can. Even a small contribution makes a huge difference. Thank you, and 73s, VK5 Golf Kilo.
Hi everyone, this is Angelo, VK2NWT, WIA Affiliated Clubs Coordinator, and I'm here this morning to talk about ARIS. ARIS stands for Amateur Radio on the International Space Station and is a fantastic program that has been providing students worldwide with the opportunity to experience the excitement of talking directly with a crew member on board the International Space Station. These contacts have been running for around about 25 years now, inspiring thousands of students to develop and pursue a career associated with science, technology, engineering or maths by engaging them through radio science technology by the use of amateur radio. Details of upcoming contacts can be found on the ARIS website, that is aris.org, under the News tab. You can listen to live audio of contacts Australia-wide on the Echolink Ham conference server, node number 69556 or IRLP node 9556, from around about 10 minutes prior to every contact. The contact itself generally lasts around about 10 minutes, with callbacks taken afterwards by John, VK3HJQ, for reporting back to NASA. These contacts present clubs with an ideal opportunity to showcase non-amateurs another one of the many interesting facets of amateur radio. I was involved in arranging an ARIS contact with one of our local high schools in my town a few years back, and I can assure you they are a very exciting experience for everybody involved. Whilst the ARIS program has been connecting astronauts to tens of thousands of kids and adults around the world via amateur radio for all these years, like many things, they can't last forever. Whilst ARIS contacts will continue to be scheduled for the next 3 years, they will cease by around 2030, after which the ISS will be decommissioned and these opportunities for a contact on the ISS will cease. There are plans, however, to continue ham radio operations in commercial space stations beyond the ISS, the details of which will become clearer as we approach that 2030 deadline. Now, in the meantime, I strongly encourage all clubs out there to just go and have a red-hot go at applying for an ARIS contact for a school. It really is a great bonding experience for your club and your community, showcasing a very exciting aspect of amateur radio. Please visit the ARIS page on the WIA website for further information and details on how to apply for a contact. This has been Angelo, VK2NWT, for WIA National News.
Thanks, Angelo. Now, don't forget, International Marconi Day is Saturday, April 25, UTC date. For those on the VK East Coast, this means it'll run from 10 a.m. Saturday, Anzac Day, until 10 a.m. Sunday. HADRC operates VK2 IMD, as the first message from Britain, sent from Marconi Station in North Wales, was received at Ernest Fisk's home in Wahroonga, a Sydney suburb. We'll have more special interest group news shortly with Felix, VK4FUQ.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
International news is with thanks to Amateur Radio Daily, ARRL, DX World, EHAM, Hackaday, IARU, IRTS, Newsline, NZART, RAC, RadioWorld.com, RSGB, SARL, and the worldwide sources of the WIA. Hello, first up, Ellercraft donates station to Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey. Visitors to Studio 3 at Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey, the Hiram Percy Maxim Memorial Station at ARRL headquarters, can now operate a new Elecraft station equipped with a K4D transceiver and a KPA 1500 amplifier. Elecraft co-founder Eric Swartz, Whiskey Alpha 6 Hotel Quebec, visited ARRL headquarters on April 7, 2026 to present the station. CEO David Minster, November Alpha 2 Alpha Alpha, expressed appreciation to Swartz and Elecraft, noting that the new station enhances operating opportunities for visitors to Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey. Amateur radio on display. The Yavapai Amateur Radio Club, YARC in Prescott, Arizona, have found a new way to help make amateur radio attractive to, well, just about anyone. Club Public Information Officer PIO Fernandez Mendegucia, Kilo Juliet 7 Quebec Hotel India, said it all started with an idea from club member and ARRL Life member Jim Zimmerman, November 6 Kilo Zulu. Jim knew about a display area in the Prescott Public Library that had been used by the Red Cross and for model train displays, said Mendegucia. So he figured why not ask if he could bring in amateur radio equipment and put it on display, bringing new meaning to the phrase location, location, location. Mendegucia then contacted the library and completed the paperwork. Zimmerman chose a location that was near the public use computer area where many young patrons spent a lot of their time. With the help of club president Byron Wilkinson, Whiskey Delta 7 Juliet, and Mendegucia, they moved Zimmerman's collection of vintage ham radio equipment to the display area. Mendegucia, an experienced photographer, took pictures, made charts, and other display information. There are many patrons, young and old, who took time to view the display, said Mendegucia, accompanied by many wow moments. An official posting on the website of the Federal Communications Commission refers to potential new spectrum users and, this is their terminology, weird space stuff. Kent Peterson, Kilo Charlie 0 Delta Golf Yankee, explains what's going on.
Expecting that orbital laboratories, inhabitable spacecraft, in-space repairs, and many other related uses are going to have a need for greater access to RF spectrum. The Federal Communications Commission is seeking comments on ways to make that happen. The agency voted last month to address new ways to support tracking, telemetry, and command for a variety of over-the-horizon initiatives. The FCC published the proceeding on its website, referring to the uses as, quote, weird space stuff, end quote. The agency said that the proposed rulemaking is part of a larger effort to modernize policies in support of the quickly growing space sector. It encouraged comments, in particular from companies involved in different aspects of lunar missions, satellite servicing, or related operations. This is Kent Peterson, KC0, DGY.
One of the potential frequency ranges referenced in the notice of proposed rulemaking is frequency range 2305 MHz to 2315 MHz, which overlaps part of the amateur radio allocation on 13 centimetres. Hot FM. 6 days after a fire destroyed the transmitters of Eastern Shore Radio Coastal Country WESR-AM 1330 AM and FM translator W289CE at 105.7 MHz, and Adult Contemporary The Shore WESR-FM 103.3 Onley, Onancock, Virginia, both stations have returned to the airwaves, resuming terrestrial broadcasting around 2 p.m. April 13. The blaze, which was reported by a neighbour, brought fire units from 7 nearby communities to the scene and resulted in the loss of the station's main and auxiliary transmitters. We actually just got finished putting a new tower up and luckily it's fine. Thankfully, there's no damage there, General Manager Will Russell told Inside Radio. According to Shore Daily News, which is co-owned with the stations, the primary signal, 103.3 FM WESR-FM, is currently operating at reduced strength as the station is using a lower-powered backup transmitter. Eastern Shore Radio expressed appreciation. First and foremost, we want to once again thank all of the volunteer firefighters who responded in the middle of the night when we needed them, as well as the Accomack County Department of Public Safety and the Virginia State Police, owner Charlie Russell said. We also want to thank everyone who has assisted in our reconstruction effort. As to what caused the blaze, Russell says, I don't know that we'll ever find out. I'm hopeful we can, as we go to replace and do all to make sure it doesn't happen again, but I don't think we'll ever really have any closure on that. The IARU's theme for this year's World Amateur Radio Day was advancing the spirit of amateur radio through innovation. Radio Amateurs of Canada seems to have led the way, once again holding their Get on the Air on World Amateur Radio Day special event, in which we were encouraged to get on the air and contact as many RAC stations as possible. RAC official stations operated across Canada, many stations with suffixes Romeo, Alpha, Charlie. Those of you contacting one or more of those stations are eligible for a special commemorative certificate noting participation in RAC's Get on the Air on World Amateur Radio Day event. Closer to home, the NZART ran their Get 20 event. For this event, New Zealand ops were able to use the Zulu Mike prefix instead of Zulu Lima. The challenge worked 20 different New Zealand operators. Celebrating 100 years of the New Zealand Association of Radio Transmitters, the NZART Centennial Conference will be held over the King's Birthday weekend, 30 to the 31st of May in Auckland. This landmark event celebrates 100 years of NZART and its vital role in the growth of amateur radio in New Zealand. This promises to be more than a conference, it's a celebration of a century of innovation, communication and community. From early wireless experimentation to today's advanced digital technologies, NZART has been at the heart of it all. The program will feature a range of forums and presentations covering technical topics, operating practices, emergency communications and emerging technologies, alongside reflections on NZART history and achievements. Trade displays will showcase the latest equipment and services, making this a valuable event for all levels of interest, whether you are experienced, newly licensed or simply curious. This is a conference not to be missed. For WIA National News in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Now, contest-wise 2026, we start with this weekend. April 17-18 Worldwide Holy Land Contest, CW Phone. April 18-19 Workdoor Provinces of China, SSB. CQMM DX Contest, SSB. Dutch PACC Digi Contest, Briti FT4 and FT8. World Time Zone Challenge, CWSSB. Why World Time Zone is different. Instead of DXCC entities or zones, WTZC rewards time zone diversity. A short path around the 24-hour clock is used for points, suggesting the far side of the world is always valuable. May Harrow Angel Memorial Sprint, May 2nd. This is that long-running contest originally set up for Anzac Day to remember VK4HA, Harrow Angel. He passed at age 106. The Harrow Angel contest was instigated by VK4BVS Brian Beamish, Solent Key, and our WIA news editor Graham, VK4BB. June 6 and 7 VK Shires Contest. June 2021 VHF UHF Field Day. Now let's open the DX window to the world. Central African Republic, operating as TL8 BNW until June on 40, 20, 15 and 10 metres, using SSB and digital with a dipole. The Radio Amateur Association of Western Greece, SZ1A, is active with special call sign SZ40A to celebrate 40 years of continuous presence, service and contribution to amateur radio. Look for activity across multiple HF bands and modes until the 31st of May. QSL via ON3UN. Visit awards.sz1a.org to access awards that are available for working the station. TM101 WARD is the special call sign for the RAF to celebrate World Amateur Radio Day until 20 April. WARD is observed annually on 18 April, the day when the IAU was formed in Paris 101 years ago. A Belgian team will be active as GB9 IOW from the Isle of Wight from 28 April to 5 May. They will operate SSB, CW and digital modes on the HF bands in 6 metres, as well as on the QO100 and 23 centimetres moonbounce. For WIA National News in Randy Ingham, I'm Felix VK4FUQ.
From here, there and everywhere, you tune to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, Special Interest Group News with Cole, VK3GTV.
Hello, welcome to the segment. First up in Worldwide Special Interest Group News this week, it's Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora and Fauna Program, Parks on the Air, and other adventure groups. The Hibiscus Coast ARC ZS5HAC will be hosting a POTA ZSFF activation this weekend in South Africa. ZS5HAC will be activating 5 parks with 9 operators in teams of 3. ZS POTA ZSFF activation in South Africa with activity on all bands and all modes, activating a park on the air and or a flora and fauna site. There are 124 registered POTA parks in South Africa, plus many ZSFF qualifying parks. The call has gone out to ZS hams that if you have a suitable park near you that's not registered yet, please contact Rudy, ZS2M for POTA, and Dennis, ZS4BS for ZSFF, and they'll greatly assist you with registration. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Digital. John, VK3HJQ, joins us once again with important news re QSO Link.
That's QSO Link, so you can look it up on the internet. It uses the SVX Link network system. The audio quality is like FM. It's fantastic. I was so impressed with this app that we decided to put our own SVX reflector now in Australia. So for people who are using SVX Link, they currently have to either go through a UK or an American server, can connect up to our server here in Australia. For more information, currently it's up on my QRZ page, that's VK3HJQ, if people want to have a look there. So thanks for listening, 73 VK3HJQ.
Thanks, John. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Final Frontier. Cosmonauts call CQ in tribute to Yuri Gagarin. Hams wishing to pay tribute to the first man in space had a chance to do so by making radio contact with 2 cosmonauts who followed the pioneering path of Yuri Gagarin. This pair of cosmonauts, each in their own time, brought value to the realm of space exploration for their country. Alexander Volkov, U4MIR, now retired, is a veteran of 3 launches who later served as commander of the cosmonaut detachment at the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Grabenkin, R3HP, who has a radio communications engineering background, served as a mission specialist for SpaceX Crew 8 in 2024. Now the two added value to a recent event here on Earth that paid tribute to Yuri Gagarin and the trip 65 years ago that made him the first man in space. Both cosmonauts were among the activators seeking QSOs with chasers back on the 11th and 12th of April as part of an international DX contest honouring the Soviet cosmonaut and bearing his name. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, IOTA. Rodriguez Island, IOTA number AF017. Savannah is active as 3B9N from Rodriguez Island, AF017, until Wednesday the 20th of May. He's operating using CW and has been spotted on the 20, 15 and 10 metre bands. Visit 9n7ga.com for more information. OC095, the rarest of the rare. JSEC SP5APW is now active as 3D2JK from Lagiba Island, OC095, until the 22nd of April. 3D2JK is operating FT8 and SSB on 20 through to 10 metres and on 6 metres, mainly FT8. Last activated in 2004, OC095 remains the rarest IOTA group in Fiji. QSL via club logs OQRS, preferred, or direct to SP5 APW. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Maritime. An event was recently held to celebrate the birthday of a Surrey man who tried to save the Titanic. Jack Phillips from Godalming worked on the ship as its chief wireless operator when it hit an iceberg in the early hours of the 15th of April 1912. Jack Phillips sent out distress calls and advised on the latest position of the ship until it foundered. While more than 1,500 people died, 705 people were rescued onto the RMS Carpathia, which was sent thanks to Phillips' messages. On Saturday last week, the Operation Morse event at Godalming Museum featured an amateur radio special event station licensed to use the Titanic's old wireless call sign. They also demonstrated the use of radio, with operators connecting across the world using Morse code, and visitors even had the opportunity to learn how to use the telecommunications method. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Military. The US Department of Defense will host this year's Armed Forces Day, AFD, crossband test, scheduled for May the 9th. This annual event is open to all licensed amateur radio operators and will not impact any public or private communications. For more than 50 years, military and amateur stations have taken part in this event, which is an interoperability exercise between hobbyist and government radio stations. The AFD crossband test is a unique opportunity to test two-way communication between military communicators and radio stations in the amateur radio service. These tests provide opportunities and challenges for radio operators to demonstrate individual technical skills in a tightly controlled exercise scenario. Military stations will transmit on selected military frequencies and will announce the specific ham frequencies monitored. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur Youngtimers, YOTA, Youngsters on the Air. And with the latest YOTA news, it's over to Alan, VK2COD.
Thank you, Cole. University of Pittsburgh engineering students and the school's ham radio club saw themselves on the global stage the past few weeks. Pitt was one of 8 educational institutions worldwide selected by NASA to study the Artemis II mission and track the Orion spacecraft. Professor Samuel Dickinson, an electrical and computer engineering professor at Pitt, told us the big win is the students' experience and to be able to have university students take all these theory things we taught them in the classroom and track the spacecraft. Artemis II launched April 1st. The 10-day mission carried 4 astronauts, 3 who held ham tickets around the moon and back. The first time since Apollo 17 more than 50 years ago. Pitt engineering students, faculty, and the Panther Amateur Radio Club designed and assembled devices to detect the outbound and inbound radio signals until splashdown. Student researchers performed the task from the roof of Bedendam Hall in Oakland. NASA gave them information about the frequencies the Orion spacecraft was transmitting on. Students designed the setup with antenna design, filter amplification, and a radio to listen to the signal. Pitt researchers will share their data with NASA to help the agency understand how outside institutions and people can support the space program in the future. Kevin Coggins is the Deputy Associate Administrator for NASA's SCAN, Space Communications and Navigation Program. He said, by inviting external organizations to demonstrate their capabilities during a human spaceflight mission, we're strengthening the marketplace we rely on as we explore farther into the solar system. For WIA National News, I'm Alan, VK2COD in Sydney. Now back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Alan. Next up, Worldwide Special Interest Groups, QRP. Each year, IARU's Region 3 holds a QRP Day on June 17th UTC. This day is an NZART initiative. To celebrate the day in 2026 and to promote QRP operations, there'll be an Auckland QRP weekend on June the 20th and 21st. The event is open to all radio amateurs and is not a contest but rather an opportunity to have fun with QRP operations. The 2 days of the event have markedly different formats. The aim for the Saturday is to score points. The aim for the Sunday is to achieve goals such as having QSOs on 3 bands, activating outdoor features or having SSB QSOs with stations in 4 different Maidenhead fields. All bands from 630 metres to 3 centimetres, including the WARC bands, can be used. Permitted modes are CW, digital, EME, satellite and voice. For WIA National News, I'm Cole, VK3GTV.
This is VK1 WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print when you read the web editions, www.wia.org.au.
It's a date. Let's look at the social scene 2026, just the one this week, but they're all in the text edition. The one we're talking about, April 17 in Bendigo.
Hi, I'm Graham, VK3GRK from Bendigo. Bendigo Amateur Radio and Electronics Club invites you to our April meeting, Operation Breakout, by Neil, VK3ZVX. Barrick is gearing up to undertake an important task in community resilience. Barrick is a leading technology community group in central Victoria and is committed to technological literacy and community service. Like all amateur radio clubs, Barrick is comprised mostly of retired experts from the telecommunication and allied industries, people with significant experience. It was Barrick who accurately predicted the communications issues that occurred during the January 9th Harcourt fires. Now, following 4 years of advocacy, an elected official has finally put their weight behind Barrick's drive toward community-based emergency response. Barrick is grateful to the Mayor of Mount Alexander Shire, Councillor Toby Hayden, for his support in getting Operation Breakout to be taken seriously by members of the Shire's emergency management team. Operation Breakout is not an emergency communications exercise in the usual sense, but a radio survey that will enable the Mount Alexander Shire to make evidence-based decisions about community emergency communications networks going forward. The network technology being proposed by Barrick is cutting edge and was developed by radio amateurs in New Zealand. A wireless mesh network, as it is called, enables text messages to be sent between family members, businesses, local government organisations and community groups even when power has failed, mobile phone networks have collapsed and internet services have gone offline. The survey will be based on the MeshCore platform. It is an independent network owned entirely by its users. Once the network is in place, there are no fees or charges and no service providers. Operation Breakout is believed to be the first undertaking of its type in Australia and will involve 20 members of Barrick's Field Radio Operations Group. The presentation commences at 7:30 p.m, Friday, April 17th at Barrick Headquarters, Bendigo East Hall, 35 Lancel Street. A gold coin donation would be appreciated and a light supper will be provided. The presentation will be available live via Zoom. See the text version of this broadcast for the Zoom details.
Thanks, Graham. Now, until next we do meet, walk softly. At the editor's desk, I'm Graham, VK4 Baker.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5 BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.